In 2 months and a week, KStar 2026 will be taking place. The big Kirby speedrun event of the year. All of the best Kirby runners and me team up for a relay race of over a dozen Kirby games. We've got quite the lineup this year, including Star Cross World, Air Riders, and the ultimate Kirby game of all time, Game Boy Star Stacker. It's an amazing event happening on... okay, Claire, take a deep breath. https twitch.tv/Kirby Speedrun being restreamed on English on https://twitch.tv/MR_Shasta. The MR is supposed to be a Mr. On April 25th, 2026 at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it'll be awesome. Back in April of the last year, holy smokes, I am late on this video, we hosted KStar 2025. As always, it was a blast, and something that I am forever grateful for is that I was one of the runners selected to play the best Kirby game ever made, the best video game ever made, Kirby Superstar Ultra. Those of you who watched my other videos are very familiar with the game, or at least my unique perspective on it. It's the best game ever, okay, I'm totally normal! But if you're new around here, you still may largely be familiar with Sample's legendary any percent task, a tool-assisted speedrun if you're actually totally normal and don't know what that means. I'm a big fan of that task myself, but the variety of abilities seen in it has mistakenly led people to believe that the same applies to a regular any percent run done by totally normal people. For the most part, in a KSSU any percent speedrun, you're seeing Jet, some wing action in Gourmet Race, Hammer and Milky Way Wishes, and nothing else. And there's nothing wrong with that. Jet is an incredible ability, both in terms of fun and in terms of, wow, look at how fast I'm going! I'm the fastest Kirby alive! But there's one other ability that's always caught my eye, and if you know the answer, oh boy, do you know the answer. To briefly explain, yes, this all does tie back to KStar, don't worry. My favorite ability in the series is Parasol Kirby. I'm sure you can tell by this footage. And specifically, my favorite version of Parasol is Superstar Ultra's, for a variety of reasons that I went over in my movie-length video about how Parasol is in Kirby speedruns. Highly recommend checking that video out. Please, it took me 3 months, I need food and water! But to make sure you at least finish watching this video first, subscribe, by the way, if you enjoy weekly Kirby videos of the speedrunning variety. Parasol is fun, it's fast, and I love it lots. But seeing as how Jet is so dominant, Parasol's never really had a place in Ultra's any percent. But is the idea really that simple? Parasol does see some fringe use here and there. It's used to set up a mix in Dynablade's first level, even in an 8%, unless you're me and you go for the Parasol Candy mix, but you should already know by now that I'm kind of insane when it comes to Parasol, just a little bit. It also sees some solid use in Milky Way Wishes, 100%, its mobility being fast enough to find use, where it would take too long to scroll to Jet on the ability menu. Milky Way Wishes is quite the quirky mode. Please play it in either Superstar game if you haven't already. Unfortunately though, that's kinda sort of really it. Spring Breeze, Revenge of Meta Knight, heck, even in the 100% run of Great Cave, you don't see Parasol. And, you know, never say never, but I'm not so sure we'll ever wind up seeing it outside of the few instances we already do. It's fast, but so is Jet, so is Wing, so is Wheelie Rider, so is Fire, so is Ninja. Granted, they all excel in different areas, but because these abilities are all so good, it's tough for them to see more than a little bit of use in specific areas. Well, again, except for Jet. Whee! So that's it then. For any percent at least, Parasol is relegated to a short 2-second cameo in Dynablade and then gets left in the dust by Jet. Or at least, that's what you would think if you didn't have as big of a brain as I do. There is a chance for Parasol to succeed in Gourmet Race. See, Gourmet Race is kind of funny because unlike the regular modes, your momentum is turned up to 800 million gazillion.
But Claire, that's not a number.
Oh. Well, it gets turned up by a lot, and this includes Some of the abilities in Gourmet Races Course 3, Onion Garden. This doesn't apply to Jet, and since you can't make helpers, Wheel winds up being super slow as well. Parasol, though? Oh no, that's a dash attack. Parasol may not have anything to help it move up, but it doesn't really matter. Look at those zoomies! Crazy zoomies! But a challenger approaches. It's not Jet Kirby we just went over. It's Wing Kirby! While its dash attack can't compare to what Parasol's can do, its flight is actually quite fast horizontally. Don't ask me why something Newton is a traitor to all that is good, but while Parasol still has a slight speed advantage, it has a major disadvantage for moving up. See, when you use Wing's aerial down B move, Dive Bomb, you can jump cancel it immediately, allowing you some of the most insane vertical movement the whole game has to offer. Yeah, actually, I'm wrong here. I'm sorry for being the biggest liar in the world. It has the most insane vertical movement in the game. Because of this, Wing is the best ability for Onion Garden and has historically been used in the mode since the game came out. While every ability has been looked into, largely via tasks, Wing has been the favorite from day one. Now, before you all go Doomasol and Gloomasol on me, don't get too upset. While sure, Parasol is slower than Wing, it does have some advantages. That horizontal movement, I already talked about that, but it also has a much simpler run than Wing does. The routing for both is fairly complicated, but Wing's dive bomb cancels in particular are pretty tricky to get the hang of. The Parasol, sure, you gotta mash float, and that's some free repetitive strain disorder right there, but on an executional level, it does a lot more for you for only slightly less. Seeing Parasol's potential, we finally bring it back to KStar 2025. Kirby Superstar Ultra beat Revenge of the King, this game's any percent, was added to the roster, and I was one of the 5 runners speeding through the race. My PB ranged from about 4 to 8 minutes slower than everyone else's, so I had a lot of ground to make up. Any possible time save that I could make, I would take. Reviewing the world records, watching my opponents practice, everything led back to several points, but one that I knew I had to take advantage of was Parasol in Gourmet Race. In the best case scenario, they were all using Wing for Onion Garden and scoring a time in the low 40s. Absolutely amazing, clearing it that fast, not easy. But I was scoring times in the 38s, the 37s even, and my PB from a few years back was a high 36. This was a chance for some free time save with an ability that was very unorthodox, and I knew I had to take it. Alrighty, we're going to be commentating my run live. Sorry about how cluttered my layout is. I mean, pretty hard for this event. Go! So I'm going to be running forward, and right away you're going to notice I grab Parasol. After doing a little bit of a float to gain subsistence, I do a dash attack, do another dash attack after falling down, do those really slow floats. After doing another dash attack, I then turn my momentum around by doing a Parasol dive. Going to be doing a lot of jump dash attacks here because the momentum goes absolutely insane. Of course, now we got to look at me slowly float up. This is really where Parasol falls apart. But I do a dash attack that lands me perfectly into the water, and I'm allowed to start floating while I'm underwater. Some more clutch dash attack into Parasol dive combos. Do a little bit of jumps here, and while this is definitely slower than what Wing can do, jumping with Parasol goes very, very fast, and bam, 38.62. Not bad at all, definitely better than what the competition got, as we'll discuss later. That said though, there you have it. Hours upon hours of practice of Onion Garden, as well as the full game itself, got me the fastest Gourmet race time. Now, I don't want to make this sound like it's too big of a deal. Everyone else scored in the 41-second range, so this only saved me between 2 to 3 seconds over everyone else. In that regard, while every second counts, it's not the biggest deal. On top of that, if you saw my run overall for the event, you'd know it was bad. Failed mixes, resetting too early, losing abilities in tough spots. It wasn't great, and I scored last by a decent margin. About 7 minutes against what 4th place got. But the big deal here is that, for the first time in 18 years, Wing in Gourmet Race has been challenged and defeated in Onion Garden during the single most important Kirby speedrun event of the year by Parasol. and a hyperactive dog VTuber who just so happens to love Superstar Ultra. There's honestly a lot of potential for Parasol going forward. My 36-second run from years back can definitely be improved, and when done by a human, the fastest wing time that we know of is in the 35-second range. Could Parasol actually come out on top? Who knows, but the future is looking very, very bright for my favorite ability. Now, I could just leave the video here, but I like variety in these things, so I've got a little bonus for you wonderful, wonderful people. I mentioned Jet and Wheel were pretty bad, while Wing and Parasol were really great, but, you know, Ninja is also in this mode, right? Where does that one currently stand? Well, nobody's really been pushing Ninja to its limit like I have with Parasol, and, you know, everybody else has with Wing, so it's hard to say. Based on what we do know, it isn't quite as good as Parasol, thus not as good as Wing, but it's got some tech. It's got a dive kick that functions like Parasol dive, it has kunai to destroy the star blocks nice and fast, and even some swag counterattack tech to move up walls quickly. It's really solid stuff, but I don't quite think it's fast enough to have a showcase in an event as big as KStar like Parasol did. Me and Parasol, yeah, sure, that was a labor of love, but it was also a calculated decision based on what we currently know about the game. I don't think Ninja is quite good enough to compare to Parasol, but hey, I'd love to be proven wrong here. Well, the Parasol part maybe not, but every other ability, they can all suffer. But if we ever see KSSU at KStar again, and I lose to a Ninja, you know, I'd pop off for that. Now, granted, I pop off for anything unconventional happening in speedruns, but that's just because it's a really big deal when it does. Variety is fun, it's exciting, and it's something especially fun to see in speedruns, the absolute highest level of skill for a game like this. You think you have something figured out, and then bam! A Puppy Girl VTuber asks you to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts on Parasol. And maybe, if you'd like to go the extra mile, become a YouTube member or a patron on Patreon, link to the description. The support goes towards helping me make more videos like this, and I appreciate everybody who helps. Special thanks to my head-patting, Fluffle fan, Puptrons and Mempups, Freakish Uproar, Heavy Points, Lizzie, and Galaxy Fan 4, and Galaxy Fan 5. I love you all! And until I see you all again, I have been Klaire. Thank you so much for being you. And until I see you all again, bye-bye!